Sailing across the Pacific sounds like living your best life, but it really feels like I've been thrown in jail. We left Opua on May 14th and arrived in Nouméa in New Caledonia on the 19th. And only after a few days ashore, we cast off again this afternoon for Majuro in the Marshall Islands. Since leaving New Zealand, I've been struggling to keep up with email. My to-do list is out of control. I have barely written anything in more than a week. The next YouTube video is still a raw footage, and I've been mostly absent from social media. CBP denied our request to enter the United States at Opua Islands, so we will have to clear in further east. After the first passage offshore, I also realized that I may not yet be ready to move this boat from Alaska to British Columbia late in the fall by myself. This means the season will likely end earlier than planned, and the delivery to North America now has to take priority before the weather closes in. Most painfully, I had to withdraw invitations I had extended to people I was counting on for intellectual companionship. I had hoped the boat could become a kind of floating seminar, a place to think together about how we learn to live with climate uncertainty. Pulling back those invitations felt briefly like watching the project contract before it had even properly begun. People encourage me to go with the flow, follow the wind, stay longer in beautiful places, make shorter passages, figure things out as you move along. This is how much of the sailing world operates, and it works beautifully when sailing itself is the point. But sailing Fiji is not really a deliverable. Nothing has to happen by a specific date. The weather decides. I'm not on a vacation. I have 6 films to shoot, a company to build, and a boat to bring back to France in 2027. Going where the wind takes us sounds very romantic until I remember why I set sail. For my children, for my students, and for people trying to navigate uncertainty in their own lives. I hope that some of the lessons learned at sea may help them do that. Somewhere during a night watch between Opua and Nouméa, I thought about people whose lives become suddenly constrained while responsibility continues anyway. People in pre-trial detention trying to prepare their defense from inside a hostile system. People rebuilding a house after hurricanes while insurance paperwork, job, children, and deadlines continue to exist. People who lose stability without losing obligations. Obviously, I'm not in jail. I chose this. But the question under this feels increasingly important. How do you continue to carry responsibility when your environment becomes so unstable, uncertain, and restrictive that it erodes agency? That is the condition that I'm voluntarily stepping into about this boat. And increasingly, it feels like a preview of the kind of reality climate disruption may impose on many people who never chose it at all. That realization changed the meaning of the first week at sea. Not because it made things easier, but because it made them more legible. The boat is not a retreat from difficulty, it's a controlled exposure to it. The season is shorter than planned, some companions will not come on board. The editorial output may probably be thinner than I had hoped. None of that feels good to admit. But the experiment is running, and during night watches, one question still keeps surfacing. What made you think this was a good idea? Isn't writing hard enough from the comfort of your own home? Didn't you already know from previous companies how difficult it is to build traction? Why would you try to create something from a place where staying alive cannot be entirely taken for granted? I still do not have a good answer, but maybe that's just the point.